In order to kill her drunken, sleeping husband, she spread strong glue on the seatbelt buckle. Then, in front of her son, she deliberately opened the sunroof halfway through the journey, claiming it was because she couldn't stand the smell of alcohol on her husband. But in truth, she was setting the stage for what was to come. The car was driving along a remote mountain road where there were no surveillance cameras and no eyewitnesses. Seizing the moment, she suddenly jerked a steering wheel, swerving the car straight into a lake at the foot of the mountain. Icy water rushed into the cabin instantly. The woman pretended to panic, screaming loudly. Her husband, now awake, thought it was just an accident and quickly helped his wife and son out through the sunroof. But when he tried to escape himself, he discovered that the seatbelt meant to save lives had now become a death trap. No matter how hard he struggled, it simply wouldn't unbuckle. By then, the woman had already swum ashore with her son. Laughing hysterically, she used a remote to close the sunroof. Seeing this, the husband panicked completely, summoning every ounce of strength. He finally managed to release the buckle, but the water had short-circuited all the electronic systems. Neither the doors nor the sunroof would open, no matter how hard he tried. In his despair, he saw his wife return and thought she had come to save him, frantically pounding on the window. But to his horror, she only pretended to try opening the door. She had risked her life coming back, simply to watch her husband die with her own eyes. Only then could she leave with peace of mind, ensuring her long, meticulous planning wasn't in vain. As it turned out, this wasn't the first husband she had killed. She had already made millions of dollars by murdering her spouses. Her first victim was a 35-year-old programmer. Though he had lost his hair at a young age, he had managed to buy a marital home on his own. After marrying him, the woman began adding sleeping pills to his water daily. Once he was sound asleep, she would inject him with a special drug, gradually causing him to go blind. Finally, under the guise of a trip, she took him hiking to a cliff's edge. Pretending to take a photo, she asked him to strike a pose. And the moment the blind man lifted his foot, she pushed him off the cliff right before his own fading eyes. Thus, the woman successfully inherited her husband's new home and received a massive insurance payout. Given her identity as an elementary school teacher, the police hardly suspected a thing. And so, the woman found a shortcut to wealth. Once the money ran low, she began searching for a new target. This time, the parent of one of her students, who would become her second drowned husband. At his funeral, the woman wore mourning clothes with crocodile tears on her face. But once family and friends had left, she eagerly embraced her lover, a scene witnessed by her mother-in-law. The old woman instantly realized her son's death was no accident. Frantic to expose the truth, she tried to speak out, but the woman's acting was flawless. In front of everyone, she played the pitiful victim, enduring her mother-in-law's blows and insults without fighting back, clutching her stepson tightly and promising to raise him well. Everyone was moved by this devoted stepmother. To make matters worse, the woman played the victim first and filed a lawsuit against her mother-in-law, accusing her of breaking into her home and taking the child while she was away. In court, the grief-stricken mother-in-law completely lost control. She couldn't understand how the murderer could be so brazen. Her rage erupted in the courtroom. She pointed at the judge, prosecutor, and lawyer, hurling insults, convinced they were all accomplices. She even tried to attack her daughter-in-law right there in court. But her outburst only made Anna seem more pitiable, and the judge began leaning toward granting custody to this kind mother. However, just as everything seemed settled, a casual remark from the mother-in-law changed the course of the entire case. "You took the insurance money after my son died," she said. The statement immediately caught the judge's attention. She could hardly conceal her excitement, for this was no ordinary judge. In fact, she wasn't even human. She was a demon judge from hell, banished to the mortal realm due to a wrongful judgment in the underworld. Her mission, personally, sentence 10 heinous individuals within a year and send them to hell or face annihilation. And now, just as she was wondering where to find such scum, this woman had walked right into her courtroom. From the mother-in-law's words, Lisa sensed there was more to this woman than met the eye. So, she wrote Anna's name before a mirror, using her special powers to glimpse into the woman's past, only to confirm that the mother-in-law had been telling the truth all along. Anna had indeed murdered 2 husbands and was now plotting to harm her stepson. It turned out she had saved the child for 2 reasons. First, to avoid suspicion, and second, because half of her husband's insurance payout had to go to his son. So, for the money, she had to keep the boy close. But this came with great risk. After all, the child had witnessed his father's murder, so Anna threatened him daily, warning that if he ever spoke up, his grandmother would be next. The little boy lived under immense psychological pressure, trapped in constant fear. Fortunately, before long, his grandmother, missing her grandson, secretly took him back to her hometown while Anna was away. Anna grew worried, fearing the child might reveal the truth. That's why she had sued for custody, only to encounter a judge from hell. After learning the truth, the judge ruled that since the child wished to live with his grandmother, the mother-in-law would receive a suspended sentence, effectively acquitted. But the child's custody would need to be settled between the grandmother and Anna. For now, since the boy was with his grandmother, the old woman vowed to protect him with her life, never letting him fall into the hands of this murderous demon. When Anna realized soft tactics wouldn't work, she turned to force, little knowing this was all part of the judge's plan. Facing such a monster, the judge had no intention of letting her go easily. Desperate to regain custody, Anna hired an old woman to approach the boy on his way home from school, loaded with packages. Knowing the boy's helpful nature, she was sure he would stop to assist. Afterward, the old woman would gratefully offer him a gift, a functional drink laced with sleeping pills, claiming it would calm his nerves and help him sleep. Since his grandmother had been struggling with insomnia, the boy brought the drink home and gave it to her. Soon after drinking it, she passed out. Anna seized the chance to take the child back to Seoul. She then stripped him, placed him in a bathtub, and proposed a breath-holding game. But just as Anna was about to make her move, a mysterious call came through. The caller claimed to have evidence of her crimes and demanded she meet at the lake where she'd killed her husband, or the evidence would go to the police. Guilt-ridden, Anna had no choice but to comply. But when she reached the lakeside, no one was there. Just as she thought it was a hoax and turned to leave, headlights suddenly flashed behind her. And to her horror, she saw her husband's car emerging from the center of the lake, driving toward the shore. This supernatural sight stunned her. Then the judge stepped out of the car, like an envoy of justice, ready to begin the criminal's trial. It turned out the judge had been monitoring Anna all along, waiting for her to commit another evil act, so she could deliver hell's punishment. Even now, Anna remained defiant, denying any abuse of the child or the murders of her two husbands. The judge had had enough. Grabbing Anna by the collar, she lifted her effortlessly and hurled her into a custom-made illusion. There, Anna was tied to the back seat of a car, forced to experience every bit of agony she had inflicted on her husband. As the sunroof slowly closed, the car began to sink. Only then did Anna feel true terror. She struggled desperately, but it was too late. The car descended slowly into the depths, and Anna lived through her husband's helplessness and despair firsthand. Just as she was about to drown, the judge pulled her back to reality. Now utterly terrified, Anna knelt before the judge, pleading and confessing to all her crimes. She admitted that she'd found her first husband worthless except for his property, so she secretly took out a 300 million won accidental death insurance policy on him. And when she learned his blindness could net an additional 200 million, she accelerated her plan. As she pushed him off the cliff, a triumphant smile had spread across her face. After acquiring his property and 500 million in insurance money, she still felt it wasn't enough, so she set her sights on a second husband with 3 billion won in coverage. She also admitted that saving the child was only for the insurance money. Such naked greed only fueled the judge's rage. As a judge from hell, she had seen countless evil souls, but few as deranged as Anna. So she decided to deliver the ultimate punishment, making Anna experience the suffering of all her victims before death. In the next instant, Anna was pulled back into the illusion, this time to the cliff where she'd pushed her first husband. She was bound to a chair, and the judge produced a bag of herbal medicine, adding a special powder. Just as Anna had drugged her first husband, she would now feel the agony of a slow poison consuming her body. After Anna died, the judge branded her forehead with a mark, a ticket to the 18th level of hell. Then a vending machine by the road transformed into a gate to hell, sucking Anna's soul into the abyss of tortured spirits. There, she would endure sufferings 100 times worse than anything she'd experienced, trapped for all eternity, never to be reincarnated. Perhaps this is the truest embodiment of the saying, what goes around, comes around.